Welcome, collectors. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Diecast Emporium. In today's video, we're going to be checking out not one, but two new Greenlight Collectibles releases in 1/64 scale. First, we'll be taking a look at Dually Drivers Series Number 5, 2018 Ram 3500 Laramie Wrecker. After that, we'll be taking a look at the 2019 Mack Granite Dump Truck, part of SD Trucks Series 11. So, let's go ahead and get started. Now, as I like to do, if this is your first time watching a Greenlight Collectibles video, I'll just run through this really quickly. If you take a look at the back of these Greenlight blister cards, if you even want to call them that, in order to put these back in for safekeeping or storage or whatever, what I like to do is cut right here, just along the back flap with an X-Acto knife, because when you're done, you can put the trucks back in, as I said, for safekeeping, without the worry of them falling off, because that lip kind of just sits along the edge right here. So again, something if you've never thought of, that's one way of taking a look at things. All right, so let's take a look at the card first. Greenlight Collectibles Limited Edition, Series Number 5 up there, Dually Drivers, which I think is a pretty unique and cool-looking logo. 1/64 scale, 2018 Ram 3500 Wrecker or tow truck in white. The back has all of your copyright information, and here's all the rest of the vehicles that are in this series. I do have to say that I saw all the rest of these at Meijer, but I only picked up this one. And the other Wrecker that's in here, the Chevy Silverado 3500, is really striking in blue. That's a really sharp truck. Also, the 3500 HD flatbed is cool looking. The 2019 Ford F350 in red is also very nice looking. So really a bunch of cool releases in this series. Any one of them I would really highly recommend. Okay, with that out of the way, let's unbox this. Like I said, I've already cut this back flap here. Let's go ahead and take it out carefully. Now, you also may have just watched the recent Greenlight review I did on the Ford cargo van for FDNY. And also in that video was an NYPD Wrecker, a 1979 Ford Wrecker, Ford tow truck. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check out the suggested link right here, and you can compare and contrast. So if you're in the market for a tow truck, you can figure out which one you want. That tow truck, the 1979 Ford, really was not all that functional, so I'm really hoping that this one has a little bit more functionality built into it, but we shall see. So let's turn the table on. Place your bets now for how soon this truck rolls off the table, but hopefully it won't. All right, so let's start off with the detail. As I said, the paint is white. You have a white bed. The bed of the truck up here, the top of it anyway, has that diamond plating texturing to add some detail, which looks really good. High point about this truck for me is that warning light. Check that out. It's red, white, orange. I should say red, orange, and clear alternating, so it really looks good on there. The mirrors have a silvered surface, but they are non-reflective. The wheels, although very realistic looking, are wrapped in rubber, but the wheels themselves are more of a chrome. I'm not sure you'd see chrome on a tow truck. Seems like that's a good way to waste a nice set of rims on a working vehicle. The decals, you have Ram up here, Cummins right there for your engine. A nice crew cab, obviously, so plenty of spacious room for the wrecker crew and also whoever they're recovering. Now, on to the functionality. So this piece goes down. I don't believe that it extends out. Yeah. And I'm applying a fair amount of force here, so I think if it was going to extend out even slightly, it probably would at this point. But it does go down. The main, I guess you'd call that the boom. I'm not really familiar with the technical terms associated with tow trucks, but this does not raise and lower, although it gives somewhat the appearance that it should because there's a cylinder here, but that's all just for aesthetic looks. The lights in the back also do look good, and the mud flaps are built into the casting. All right, so let's pose it recovering a vehicle. Let's start out with another truck that's in a previous Dually series by Greenlight. I don't know if it's going to be strong enough to hold this, but we're going to find out. Let's bring him in. So you can't really raise it because it's not strong enough to lift it, but you can certainly pose it on the ground like that. makes an interesting and convincing pose, especially if you're just putting it in a display case or on your layout. It is a pity, though, that the boom does not go up higher and that this isn't stronger because it's a plastic piece. But still in all, I do have to say it's much, much more functional than the 1979 Ford Wrecker that I reviewed, the NYPD one. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll start the second half of the video with the 2019 Mack Granite Dump Truck. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking with me. So let's get straight into this one. SD Trucks Series 11. Hard to believe that there are already 11 series into the SD Trucks. 2019 Mack Granite Dump Truck. I had to pick this one up. I do have a couple other castings of this Mack Granite Dump Truck, but when I saw this paint job, obviously I just had to pick it up. Now, the Dually series, I purchased both of these at Meijer. Let me go ahead and set that forth before we go any further. And the Wrecker was about $7, and this was about $15.50. So honestly, that's a little bit much for this, but you know, it is what it is. So just bear that in mind, because I know a lot of you guys always ask me about price, and I try and be as upfront and honest with you as I can. So that was the MSRP and what I paid for at Meijer, which is a Greenlight distributor. So if you have a Meijer near you, I always encourage you to go look. Hobby Lobby is another one that has Greenlight stuff. And then, of course, all of your, or most of your hobby dealers are Greenlight dealers as well. Okay, 2019 Mack Granite Dump Truck. The functioning part of this truck is its dump bed, which we'll give that a test. Limited edition. On the back, unlike the Dually series where there's like 5 other ones for a total of 6, this series there's only 3 trucks. And I did review the 2018 International Workstar Tanker Truck. That's an FDNY livery. You can check out the link at the top of the screen right now if you're interested in seeing that. Then come back and watch the end of this video. Also, the 2019 Mack Anthem truck cab, that's blue. I do believe that I have one of those. As a matter of fact, I should pull out one of those just to show you what it is. And then, obviously, the 2019 Mack Granite Dump Truck. Here's all your copyright information if you need that. There's the barcode if that helps you out in getting your stores to carry this. All right, let's go ahead and open this one up. So as I said, you're looking at about $15.50 before tax, which again I think is a little bit much for these. I think maybe $10, $11 is probably, maybe that's even a bit much, but I think that's fair. But 15, I think, is, in my opinion, is a little bit too much for these. All right, so let's bring the table back into focus. There's our truck. There's a little bit of plastic on the wheel. Let's get rid of that. There we go. All right, so as it spins around, we'll start off with the detail of the truck itself. You can see that it has a chrome grille, the telltale Mack Bulldog sign on it. You have doors on it, obviously, that have the Mack nameplate right here. You have your door handle. And the mirrors, if I didn't mention this, they actually have the Bulldog on them, which look really, really good. You have your tanks here. Your lift axle is not functional, and it is modeled in the slightly raised position, as I'll show you here. As you can see, the rest of the wheels are rolling, yet that one remains stationary, as it is, as I mentioned, slightly higher. So, that's the basic details of the truck, aside from, which we touched on before, the striking American flag paint job all throughout. The tarp is not functional, but of course you could make it functional if you are really determined and want to do that kind of thing. It's not really that necessary. But let's see how well it dumps. I'd say that's more than reasonable. It has a plastic 3-stage cylinder. 1, 2, 3. And then the tailgate at the rear swings open to a more than adequate angle, which again, I think is very respectable. So, you guys wanted to see the Mack Anthem. So before I go any further and conclude the review on this, I did just want to show you this real quick. There's the Mack Anthem. Pretty nice looking truck. My biggest complaint with this is just the fact that the 5th wheel on here won't fit any 1/64 scale trailers. And again, I guess it's not really meant to at this price point. You can't really expect it to fit any of the trailers or the trucks that are 2 and 3 times as expensive as this one, but it just kind of would have been nice if it would have been more than just literally a drilled through hole. Okay, back to the truck. You've seen the dumping angle. What would a dump truck be if you didn't have something to load it? Well, let's bring in a Diecast Masters 1/64 scale Cat 950M loader. And as you can see here, the two make a pretty convincing pair. Now, the wheel loader retails for about $20, give or take $1 here and there, so again, good value for your money. Under $40, you can pick up a dump truck, you can pick up a wheel loader, and there you go. You're well on your way to creating your own die-cast collection. And I say that because I get so many questions, especially lately. I don't know what it is about 2021, but it seems like we're getting a lot of new blood into this hobby, which is a very, very good thing. I get asked often, I want to get into the hobby, but I'm not sure which scale I want to collect, so I'm going to conclude this video with a very complicated answer to a very simple question. Number one, it really depends on what you want to collect. And I know that seems like a very simple answer, but it's really not. So if you're into trucks, simple answer, when I mean trucks, I mean over-the-road 18-wheeler trucks, I recommend getting into 1/64 scale. You have brands like First Gear, DCP, and there'll be some other brands with introducing 1/64 scale lines down the road. That's really the best you're going to do for 1/64 scale. If you're into heavy equipment, construction equipment, obviously the obvious answer is 1/50th scale. There is so much out there in 1/50th scale rather. You can get a model of almost every genre of heavy equipment that you want in 1/50th scale. If you're into trains or creating scenes of cities and dioramas and vehicles, I recommend HO or 1/87 scale. So really, again, it just depends on what you're into and what you want to display. Aircraft is another one. If you're into airplanes, 1/72 is a great scale to get started in. So I know I'm trying to cover a really what should be the subject for a whole video in itself in like a minute and a half, but you really have to focus on your budget, how much room you have, what specifically you want to collect, and do a little bit of research before you start randomly buying things. Again, I know those may seem very simplistic to some of us, but for a lot of people, especially new people getting into the hobby, it sometimes isn't really all that clear. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Tommy with Diecast Emporium. Take care, be well, stay safe. I'll see you in the next review.